actually, I need to get rid of this for what we're doing. But we're doing a scene in a car. So I'm like in the driver's seat.
Oh, that's funny. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. So I'm like in a driver's seat, and then there's someone in my passenger seat. So I like turn the opposite way when I'm talking to them. So it looks like, but we had to do it like 12 times trying to figure out the best way to
It's okay. People just have to live with it. Are we being recorded?
Yeah, I just started rolling it. I'm gonna close this door because I can hear you, Megan. I'll be right back.
Oh, I'll close mine too.
No, it's fine.
Well, then I'll just step out of frame for a hot second too.
Okay. And I'll jump out the window.
Here we go.
How have you been?
Good. I miss you. This is
Well, I'm the closest thing to, as close as I'll ever get to being in the same room.
No.
Until God willing, the theater opens up again.
That was the worst 30-second gag I ever did.
So, hello everybody. Curtis, the author and director of these podcasts, Tales from the Creepery. I want to introduce you to the cast of the third episode of Fair of the Heart. We have Megan Simard as Sandra Barskin and Steve Mecca as Roger Barskin and Constantine Pappas as Dr. Alan Hesketh, the lover. And just a couple of words about how I whenever there actually is a story behind how I wrote the play, I think some people might be interested in hearing what I call the genesis of these plays. In this case, in my apartment, my wife works at home, and when I go to work, or used to go to work every day, as I left the house, there is a guest bathroom just inside the front door. And I had this absolutely macabre fantasy, like what would happen if I fake left, closed the door, hid in that closet for 2 hours, and jumped out at my wife. What a funny practical joke that would be. And it so horrified me that what could happen to somebody that I quickly curbed it and put it into my, like, how would you make a play out of this? And so the elements were, well, if someone did that, then you have to be sure that the wife will have a heart attack. So we had to make her a heart patient. And then the other question is, like, why would he want to kill her? And that created the lover. So that was how this all started. I think it came off wonderfully well. I always love to hear how actors work and how they think. First, I just want to do a commercial for Megan. Megan starred in a stage comedy of mine last, I guess it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
And she was wonderful. And one of the things that made her so wonderful was something that I noticed when I was out in the audience, and a scene was going on in another part of the stage, and the part of the stage that Megan was in was dimmed almost so that you could scarcely see anybody. And I looked to see what Megan was doing, and she was acting, she was performing. Like, she didn't have to, because I was probably the only person looking at her in the dark. Everybody else was focused on the spotlight where another scene was going on. And I was just filled with such admiration for you, because you were so into the part that you were reacting and acting when it probably wasn't necessary. So when I started writing these podcasts, I heard that Megan has been doing some voiceovers, and I was very happy to invite her to star in some of them. Have you done radio? You've done podcasts or voiceovers. Have you done radio dramas like this? Is this a new medium for you?
Not dramas. Like the experience that I've had and that Stephen and Constantine had as well, they were sketch comedies. And so the performance in sketch comedy, especially over radio and voiceover, it's very different than a dramatic performance. You know, they're both heightened performances. Like the emotion is heightened because you need to do that to make sure that it translates in the medium. But the performance itself is definitely a different approach to sketch comedy, which is like super over the top.
Right. I mean, because we patterned these plays on the old time radio plays, we really were super over the top with a lot of the stuff. And luckily, we had a narrator whom you will be meeting in a future episode. We'll be interviewing Peter Dichter, who is our voiceover, but his delivery is so over the top. He could announce a Chicago Bulls basketball game as, and now, ladies and gentlemen. That's the sort of voice he has. So, and the acting, as I recommended to everybody, was to push it in ways that you might not have thought was the sort of acting you would do on a stage, which is usually more restrained and more artful. I have a question, again, speaking about acting. There is in this play, and we don't give away the, try not to give too much to spoil anything, but in this play, there is a passionate scene between Megan and Constantine, or their characters. And for those of you who think they are sitting in the same room, they're not even in the same state. So I'm interested to know how you reached into your acting selves and brought forth this passion, which seems in the play, because it's so beautifully knitted together by our sound engineer and producer, Steve Mecca. How did you reach in and find that emotion when the person was not even visible to you? Or was he? Or were they? You told me, Steve, that you'd done a previous thing with Constantine on FaceTime?
Right, yeah, for a couple of those episodes, but not for this one.
Right.
Not for this one. Most of the interaction was between Constantine and Megan. So, and they had, they were, I think, scheduling and technology-wise, we weren't even at that point yet. So it was completely separate.
So did you do some method where you tried to remember passion scenes of times gone by and said, oh yeah, that's how I felt. Let me see if I can feel that now. How do you do that? I love to hear what actors do.
What I usually did for these scenes where I'd have to interact, where we didn't think of doing the FaceTime, interaction back and forth, I would, definitely read it through, and I would often call on the help of Mandy Lee Thompson, who's sitting out there, to help me read through them, to kind of just cue me, right. And so I could get a sense of like where the natural direction of the line lent itself. So I would kind of know ahead of time, like, oh, okay, Megan might do it this way without even asking, and just hoping that natural response to it will produce a more natural back and forth.
You performed with Megan before?
Absolutely. Yeah. We did sketch comedies together.
Right. So at least you had a certain easy rapport with each other going into this play.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. I definitely had his voice in my head. I think the way I did it was I just go through line by line. And and this is just for actors across the board, whenever material is well written, and I'm not even brown nosing, like whenever material is really well written and you can rely on it and lean into it and let the material speak for itself, it makes your job as the actor so much easier. And so it wasn't really so much of a struggle to kind of find those points because the material laid it out there for you. So if you're in the moment with every single line and you go line by line, you're going to get to those places just naturally. It's going to be a natural impulse.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly sounded natural. The heavy breathing was compliments of Steve, I believe, right?
At your service.
Thank you.
So you stopped short at the heavy breathing, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't even think I was around for that, too. It was just in the booth.
I can't imagine.
It's such a weird thing to do. It's a weird thing just to step up to the mic and just do that for 30 seconds.
Do my breathing. That's fine.
Oh, not that breathing. Well, that's the funny story. There is an intimate moment.
Oh, right. You're breathing in the space in the closet.
Megan and Constantine making love, which was ripped off of an adult film.
Oh, see, and I thought you had done the breathing for that, and I was like, "Good on you."
Well, for the people watching this who really think that theater really happens, it's all illusion, everybody. But when it's done well, as it was for this episode, the illusion is perfect. So I want to thank my actors and Steve, our actor and producer and sound engineer, for what I think was a very entertaining. And some of our plays have humorous elements in them. This one was straight, grim horror. And every time I hear it, I get scared. So,
yeah. I mean, pretty much the perfect crime, which is
yes. I meant to say that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize when I wrote it.
Yeah.
But it is a perfect crime.
Absolutely.
And you don't get too many of those.
Not
so
easy.
Me and Hitchcock, we have something in common.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody,
Thank
our viewers for
you.
watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Woo-hoo.
Bye.
Bye.
Clifford Dimsdorp says he has been ripped off at a popular theater workshop.
Do you have any other ideas how I can get you to, quote, read my work and render valuable feedback and career advice, unquote?
If he can't get his money back, he'll take his refund in blood.
I'm certainly not going to read your script by gunpoint, as it were.
How did you know?
How did I know what? I said at gunpoint, as it were. That was a metaphor.
Well, here's a declarative sentence. This is a real gun.
Let's see how this pans out on Tales from the Creepery table reading. Get creeped out at thecreepery.com.